You're listening to Pumpin Pete on 89.5 FM, The Collective. Let's go.
What's up, everyone? DJ Pumpin Pete in Chicago. So I started DJing right around 1982. Bought my first set of turntables. Basically, that was the whole start of it. Most of them were hip-hop DJs, but when I entered the Chicago DJ scene, most of my idols became Chicago house legends. Many of them familiar to everyone, like Wayne Williams from The Chosen Few. Mickey Oliver from the Hot Mix 5 was an early mentor of mine. We did a lot of stuff together, and those are my two main. My first memory of house music is the vibrating sound of that 4 on the floor. That kind of reaches in, grabs your soul, and it's like this intoxicating feeling. It's hard to describe. It's like a euphoric connection between you and the music, you know, and it's kind of what gravitated me towards spinning house music. You know, I've always loved house music from an early age. My mother introduced me to Gloria Gaynor and Earth, Wind & Fire and Santana at an early age, so I was always really moved by soulful music, and I kind of love expressing it through performing it on the turntables. So yes and no. Like, I usually kind of prepare two different sets, right? Like, one set is my main set where I envision this perfect night of, you know, the whole crowd moving to every single thing I'm playing. And then as soon as I get on the turntables, I assess the crowd visually, and I'll take a mental note of an age demographic, and I might kind of try to grab them at their like hot spots of their life. Like, when thinking, if I see a crowd that's 35 something, I might think, okay, when they were 16, what was their like hot button song? And then I'll change up my whole set around that specific group or that person, and it's pretty cool. But it also drives me completely bananas, because in the car ride on the way home, I'm aggravated at myself for deviating completely from my perfect set I've spent months arranging. So it happens. It's super important, you know. I kind of always gravitated towards turntablism and hip-hop music as a whole, but I've always loved soul and disco and funk. And you know, when you have the birthplace of house music, it kind of is a culmination of all of those things, you know, like, so for me, that connection is something that I hold sacred, and I kind of just, I plug it into every single set I perform, so. Yeah, I mean, I think music just evolves, you know, and everything is kind of a rip off something in the past, you know. If we kind of are always nodding to the past, we can't concentrate on what the future of music is going to sound like. So I love the way it's changing, you know. I know that there's a lot of people that want to stay true to the art form and how they perform it and what the musicality should be. It should always be 4 on the floor with this much hi-hat and this much snare, but I kind of like the way music transitions, and then, you know, a natural progression of things is exactly what house music turned into. EDM, different genres, disco house, tech house, techno, minimal, progressive. I mean, it kind of, you know, it ebbs and flows, and it's ever changing. So I kind of embrace the future of music, and I don't necessarily feel like new DJs or new performers need to nod to the past in any way, shape, or form. I think they could listen to it as influence for what they perform or what they make, but I don't think they, you know, serve a necessity to always kind of keep it old school, you know? Number one, it's always, for me, it's always equipment. So a lot of DJs now, they have great gear and the technology is so amazing, and so they can perform on you know, controllers. But I'm like a turntablist and a purist, and I love the art of manipulating vinyl. And so whenever I perform, it's like, if the wind blows a different direction, it's gonna skip. If I bump the table a little bit, it might skip. If if it's not prepared perfectly, the pitch adjusts on the turntables. Wait, is that house music horn? But anyway, but to get back to your question, so turntables are always an interesting, you know, tool to work with, because if the pitch is off or if the turntables aren't calibrated just perfectly, it's a huge problem with me from a DJ performance perspective. Well, I think what inspires me a lot is I'm like a super geeky closet fan of like a lot of underground Chicago house music producers. One of them, of which is Milty Evans and Whitebeard Records, is just like amazing, and I kind of geek out to that music all the time. And it's Chicago original house music. Also, Patrick Shea has been producing some amazing, amazing tracks recently. A lot of them are found on, Beatport, TrackSource. But these are two Chicago original artists, and I love Brian Boncher. I'll closet listen to his music and such. And there's so many true house music producers that are kind of carrying the torch. And I think as pioneers, from Chicago, they can rest assured that it's in good hands. These guys are kind of carrying it forward. So I'm optimistic about all those releases that these guys are putting out regularly. It serves house music perfectly. I am not. I kind of closet produce, but nothing. I'm kind of I'm a snob on my own music. So whenever I produce a mix, whether it's like a 60-minute mix of house or hip hop, whatever, it probably can take me anywhere from 3 to 6 months to do it, because I just want it to be completely perfect. Every nook and cranny of it, every wave and every ebb and flow of the whole mix has to be perfect. So for me, when I produce house or I produce hip hop or I produce beats, I love them and I'm head nodding in my bedroom, but at the end of the day, I'll listen to it 3-4 days later and absolutely hate it and not want to release it to anybody. So I'm a prisoner in my own musical mind. So no, I am not. That's the short answer. I am known for twists and turns in my mixes. I never keep it straightforward. I never try to perform the same songs as I did in the last set. So you might hear some different stuff from me, outside of the box. Definitely some new. I'm a Vocalo DJ Collective member. So you can check my music out on SoundCloud. I also have links on my Facebook page, links on my Instagram page where you can download and check out my mixes. All of my social media is Pumpin Pete. Instagram it's at Pumpin Pete. Facebook is the same. My Twitter is the same, and my Mixcloud is also the same. So it's all Pumpin Pete. Probably my number one right now is my Pioneer S9 mixer. I absolutely love it. It allows me to kind of take all these ideas that are in my mind and perform them flawlessly. That and my turntables. I started out on so many different mixers, but I've been a Techniques guy for a lot of years for my turntables, but for my mixers, it's always been Rane. And Rane has been the go-to for turntablists and performing DJs that like to scratch and mix and such. So I do have Rane. I love my Rane mixers, but my Pioneer S9 kind of encompasses everything I've ever wanted in a mixer. And sometimes it's like the subtle nuances of how I can perform with the fader, with the filters, with the performance pads. So Pioneer is new to my family of equipment. Listen to other DJs and don't play anything they play. Listen to all of the people you look up to and try to deviate from performing any of the songs that they perform. And if you're on a radio station that specializes in pop, make sure you slip in something that you absolutely love in every single one of your mixes. Don't keep it pop 100%. I understand it's a good gateway to get you on stages and get your foot in the door and get your name on flyers, but staying true to the music you love and being different is what's gonna set you apart. I always usually try to incorporate elements of, like, I'll nod to the old school, but I'll incorporate some kind of hip hop in all my sets. Especially when it comes to like house. It's kind of challenging to do that, but I always manage to figure out a way to make that work. I love original breaks. I love break beats. So for me, I like to take a record that has become popular because of a sample and take the original sample and play that along with the track. So I think looking back, I kind of was, I almost wish I was born in a closer generation to this, but I definitely appreciate the fact that I'm an 80s DJ. But if I had a quarter of the social media outlets that we have now back in the 80s, oh my God, it could have been crazy. But I just love performing. I love being a purist on the turntables. I love the fact that I have a niche following. I've always prided myself on being able to DJ at gigs where I would like to have like 100 people that all nod their head to what I'm playing, know who I am and appreciate what I'm doing, versus a festival or a club that has 100,000 people in it that have no idea what my name is and don't even care what's going on behind the turntables as long as I play the current track, So I've evolved quite a bit over the years where I've gotten a little bit more selective with the gigs that I take intentionally because I just like a music aesthetic that I like. And I enjoy the fact that I haven't had or forced to deviate from the musicality that I perform, you know? So that's like the super long, detailed answer. But the short answer is I take gigs where I can play what I want, and I love the fact that crowds can vibe out to what I'm playing and appreciate what I'm playing, you know? And so year number 4, right? Okay, so the first year, Fernando called me up or sent me a message, and I love that guy for doing it, because I you know, 4 years ago was just so new, and you know, no one knew what to expect. And when I showed up, I kind of had, at that gig, I had like 3 different sets. I had my house pop set, my Italo dance set, and then my underground house set, you know, where it's like you have this juxtaposition of 3 different sets, because I had no idea what to expect. And when I saw the crowd, they were all my people that I remember from back in the day, DJing at like Cicero Stadium, Union Hall on the South Side. Like, it was super cool. So I kind of did this hybrid set of everything, and the feeling I got from being able to perform those tracks the way I did, and the reaction from the crowd was like intoxicating for me, you know? And I've done like other music festivals and such, but I just feel like my house music festival is like dear to my heart because of that, and also because of the money that the way it gives back is just, you know, unmistakable. And for me, it's never about the money. Like, I know there's a lot of DJs who are like, you know, well, you gotta pay me what I deserve. I understand that part of it, but for me, I'm blessed and very fortunate to where the dollar amount doesn't dictate what I have to play or gigs I have to take, you know? So I think that's why I love it too. And plus I bring my son every year and he freaks out, he loves it. So it's good. What's up everybody, DJ Pumpin Pete from Chicago. Check me out at the My House Music Festival, Saturday, August 10th. Main stage, 6 to 7. Good?
Time after time, I told myself I've got nothing.